A first-year seminar is a really great way to get engaged and involved on campus. So knowing other students, knowing faculty members, knowing the great staff that we have on campus leads to student success.
I think one of the things that really gets the students interested is the way the first-year seminars are structured. The fact that they have a seminar course and then there's a composition course that goes along with it. And so the students spend time together in both classes and they get to know each other. And so this social aspect, if you will, of the first-year seminars has been extremely important to the students, and they find it particularly useful.
I love teaching undergraduates. I've taught graduate courses and I have graduate students in some of my senior level literature courses. But the thing is, I think you start with your passion for your topic, and I'm really turned on by literature, by what people can accomplish through the written word.
I will be teaching a first-year seminar called Engaging Communities, American Civic Life, Past and Present.
The course is called Culture Wars, and it deals with the separation of church and state, one of the key principles in the Constitution.
This is a new one. This is the nanofiction course, the first-year seminar. I think they'll enjoy reading these really, really short stories because they're unintimidating and they're very accessible, and yet they have lots of layers to them.
We're going to do a lot of fun things in this course. We're going to be thinking about the Detroit metro area. We're going to be thinking about communities and engagement in Detroit, and we're going to get ourselves out looking at the city itself, and we will be working on a GIS project.
The seminar starts out with one of the key trials that took place in the 20th century. In 1925, in the town of Dayton, Tennessee, John Scopes, a high school teacher, was tried and convicted of violating a newly passed bill, the Butler Bill, which prohibited the teaching of evolution in public schools.
The GIS project in the course will get the students making maps and thinking about where they engage. On our campus we have a GAM lab, and that is this fantastic lab with a whole slew of computers that have GIS software on them. They make beautiful, huge printouts. There's beautiful printing programs, and there's the ability to analyze and spatially think about interesting problems. And our interesting problem is, how do we engage? How do we participate? How are we active citizens?
At first, they're a little surprised that I assign such weird stories. And I actually do that for a good reason. It throws us all off balance a little bit. And then we have to figure out, well, what's going on here? You know, why would a writer write this way? Why would he try and confuse or trick the reader? Why would so much of the meat of the story be beneath the surface? And once they realize that they can figure those things out for themselves, I think it's very gratifying.
Right now, the City of Detroit is under emergency financial management, and an interesting question in that is citizenship. What happens to citizenship when you're no longer being governed by an elected official? So we'll have an actual case study to think about. How do people become citizens in situations that aren't of their choosing, that are not involving their elected officials? So we'll think about what people are doing and how they're voicing their citizenship in the City of Detroit.
One of the things that we'll do in the class is actually read the transcript and reenact the transcript of the trial, which has some extraordinary speeches in it that hold true to today. And then we'll look at a play called Inherit the Wind that is loosely based on the Scopes trial, but which is in fact an allegory against the McCarthy trials and the McCarthy hearings in the 1950s. And so we'll read through the play and maybe reenact pieces of it.
Math students and science students and engineering students do very well in lit courses because they're analytical. And that's what we do when we study literature, that is stories and novels in particular, in my classes in the university setting. We're not just reading for entertainment or escape or distraction or cheap thrills, although sometimes that's a great thing to do. We're reading to figure out why the author wrote that way or what the culture is saying through this medium, or what some of the issues of the era are. It kind of expands the universe of the story by thinking of it analytically.
Well, experiential education, hands-on learning, is incredibly important to prepare students for the workforce. So it makes them prepared for the kinds of collaborative work you do in the workforce, for the projects that you do out in the real world. You know, we on our campus are in the real world, but students always wonder, what's going to happen when I leave this campus? And so doing collaborative work, creative work, innovative work is what's necessary now to be successful in the workforce and to be successful in graduate school. So students are prepared by getting their hands dirty and doing work that is meaningful.
Yeah, there were significant changes within the students. Usually it's a pretty good group of students, and because they meet together as a group in two different courses, they get to interact more with one another. And so you can see the development of the students through the course.
I do see changes, and it usually has to do with greater confidence that comes from having a vocabulary and a conceptual framework for talking about literature that goes beyond I like this or I don't like this. And so gradually you see students not only using those terms and those concepts more, but also seeing more because they have terms and concepts for literary criticism.
I think that student success really depends on getting involved and engaged. So take a first-year seminar, even if it's not my first-year seminar. Get to know faculty members, get to know other students, work collaboratively, because you're going to get to the other end of it. You're going to get to the end of your 4 or 5 years and think, why did I not make more connections, make better networks, and get more involved? Those are the kinds of things that really help when you are graduating and looking at what you're going to do in the future.
Come on down. Join us.
Okay. All right.